Hello, today's craft will be how to train your dragons toothless. Scratch that. Reverse it. Today's craft will be toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Alright, let's get to building. You will need tracing paper, construction paper, mainly blue, red and brown are optional, fishing line or thread, twist ties, toothless printout. Tools we'll be using are cardboard cutting board, X-Acto knife, toothpick, ruler, pencil and eraser, an electrical fan, scotch tape, scissors, and optional, wire cutters and sponge. Step 1. Acquiring the printout. In the description there is a link where you can download the picture of Toothless we will be using. The download comes in PNG and PDF files. Download and print out one of them. Next, take a sheet of tracing paper and place it on top of the printout of Toothless. Step 2. Attach tape to the edges to hold the tracing paper in place over the picture. Placing down heavy objects or holding the paper in place with your hands will work too. Step 3. Trace out the picture using a pencil. I'm using a 0.7 mechanical pencil, but any HB or a 2B pencil will work just as well. While tracing, just try to trace one region at a time. This way you're less likely to miss details. Step 4. Once you've finished tracing the picture onto the tracing paper, remove the tape with scissors or an X-Acto knife. Flip the tracing paper over and place it on top of a blue sheet of construction paper. Apply tape to the edges and transfer the picture from the tracing paper to the construction paper. In other words, use your pencil to trace out the design on the reverse side of the tracing paper. Again, be sure to trace one region at a time. Step 5. Once you're done transferring the trace, carefully remove the tape to separate the tracing paper from the construction paper. You should have a faint trace of Toothless on the construction paper. Pencil in the lines to make them more visible. Step 6. Now we're ready to start cutting. Remember, the goal is to cut the paper. If you're cutting yourself, you're doing it wrong. Don't do that. Place the construction paper on the cutting board. Using the X-Acto knife, trace the outline. It's a good idea to cut the same spot repeatedly until the paper is cut. Also, cut out the slits and inner horns near the neck. This is where a sponge can come in handy. By placing the sponge underneath the paper, you can poke through with the X-Acto knife to make slits. Careful not to cut off the head. As excited as you may be to cut things, I doubt Toothless would be cool with that. But will it still fly? Probably. Before I get to step 7, I want you to really think about this and answer honestly. Are you a patient person? Are you a perfectionist? Do you like Flappy Bird? If so, you need medical therapy for the perfectionist thing, because the Flappy Bird thing is beyond medical comprehension. If you're not a patient person, a hopeless perfectionist, or a fan of Flappy Bird, then get ready for what might be the most frustrating, teeth-grinding, table-flipping, rage-inducing experience you may ever experience in the next few minutes. If you're not cool with that, skip to step 9. All jokes aside, this step is purely for looks. If you don't mind seeing the twist ties poke out of the top of your Night Fury, you may skip this step. Step 7. To hide the twist ties, we're going to make 4 thin strips of paper to thread through the slits. Take a piece of blue construction paper and use your ruler to measure out and mark 2.5 millimeters. It's better to be under 2.5 than slightly over. Mark the paper with a dot where you measured. Repeat this a few times down the paper and join the dots to produce a line. The line is roughly 20 to 21 centimeters to fill out the wingspan of Toothless. Repeat this 3 or more times for a combined total of 4 strips. Remember, it's better to err on the side of thin than for it to be too wide to fit through the slits. Once you're finished drawing the strips, cut them out using an X-Acto knife. Now take one strip and weave it into the head starting from the underside out. Use the toothpick to first poke a hole into the slit and widen it. Feel free to use the X-Acto knife if the slit isn't adequately cut. Weave another strip into the midsection of the body, starting from the top side and ending at the tail. The remaining strips will be woven into the wings, beginning from the underside of one end and ending at the underside of the other. For those who have just come from step 7, this is going to sound terribly familiar. Step 8. Find or cut 4 pieces of twist ties, 2 that span the wings, 1 that spans the tail to the lower midsection, and 1 that when folded in half will span the head to the upper midsection. While inserting the twist ties, be gentle. Forcing it may rip the construction paper. If it's ever stuck, flip Toothless over and pull the twist tie back, then reinsert it without catching the corner of the slit. When threading the twist ties through the slits, start with the head first. Bend the twist tie in half. Use the toothpick as a tool to poke through the slit to widen it. Insert the twist tie through the slit from the bottom up. Next, we want to insert the twist ties through the wings. Repeat this for the second twist tie through the wings. For those who are having trouble threading the twist ties due to the paper strips from step 7 getting in the way, this is for you. Instead of just threading the twist tie first, use the toothpick to widen the path. Pushing the twist tie in place becomes much quicker and easier. Now we want to insert the twist tie through the tail. Start threading it from the top side of the midsection, ending it at the tail. Now some of you may have realized that we could have saved a bunch of time and resources if we had just cut out the printed picture and inserted the twist ties into that. Yes, but look at it versus this. But will it fly? Besides, wasn't there the saying that adversity builds character? Lots of character was built during steps 1 to 7, especially step 7. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Step 9. Now that the worst is behind us, weave the fishing line or thread into the wings. Specifically, weave it over-under through the slits. Use the toothpick to help you widen the hole to ease threading. Step 10. This is the most important step. Adjust the wings so that the front of the wings are low and the back of the wings are high and arched. Arch the head down. Adjust the tail so that it slopes up like a hill, but make sure that the tail fins closer to the body are level with the body. I repeat, make sure the fins closest to the body are flat. Toothless will not catch the wind if you mess this up. Step 11. Find a fan. You're going to have to trust me on this one. Blowing really hard doesn't work. Just get a fan. Turn the fan on and stand behind it. Hold the strings with your hand like so. But make sure you let out enough string for Toothless to actually catch the wind. It takes a bit of practice, but you'll get it. If Toothless refuses to catch the wind, ask yourself, what would Hiccup do? Or you could check the tail fins closest to the body and make sure they are level with the body. Check the wings and make sure they are low in front and arched up in the back. Check if the head is arched down. When everything is working as Hiccup intended, you will feel Toothless pull like a kite. Step 12. This step is another one of those great opportunity to build character kind of dealios. As we all know, Toothless from the movies is missing a tail fin and has a prosthetic one in place. This can be fixed by placing the tail fin from the printout onto red construction paper via tracing paper. Then it's just a matter of cutting and gluing it on. If you like, we can also create a saddle on his back by measuring out a strip of brown construction paper 1 cm by 4 cm. Cut the strip out and weave it in. Technically we're also missing the legs, the mouth, and the eyes. He'll live. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for updates on new content.